The question about the history of Standard English language and the essence of this concept remains topical for a long time. At the present time, the British and American linguists are at variance on what Standard English is. The Standard language is understood as the variety of English language, dominant in social and cultural terms, as well as a dialect of social upper strata or Interlingua, devoid of territorial and some extent social restrictions. The term Standard language began to appear in English in the beginning of 18th century. The term Standard English was preceded by Queen's English, King's English, for the first time marked by Geoffrey Chauser in the 14th century, as well as the soft-spoken language, polite language, which became widespread in the 17th, 18th centuries. The Royal English was the linguistic model and pronunciation for a long time, but it was the speech not only of queens and kings, but the speech of the court society as a whole. Royal English language understood as a standard language for educated people. The main component of the King's English was an accent in pronunciation. Soon people began to connect accepted pronunciation with the availability of the power, education and material well-being. As noted since Crowley, British sociolinguist, the term of the Queen's English does not apply to an idiolect of any particular sovereign, monarch, but to the adopted and institutional form of language. As the sovereign, the King's English is a symbol in the sense that it brings together all the media of the English language. The possession of King's English clearly distinguishes some speaking as a citizen of England, and requires a response to the devotion of the language. More than that, it, as the sovereign, should be protected from ill-treatment. Currently, the Queen's English language is not used as a sample speech of the royal court, but only indicates a competent, pure speech of educated people on the British variant of English language. As a result of infatuation of British society, the concept of politeness, the term Queen's English was replaced by polite language. In this term, undoubtedly, there is a social component. People of polite society speak polite language, i.e., representatives of the social elites. Lexical feeling of the language was contrasted with the language of the barbarian. It was forbidden to use even colloquial words and expressions, professional words, including archaisms and scientific terms. Speech activity has also undergone certain changes. It was supposed to have a certain manner of behavior. The person should be able to keep up the conversation in any situation and to behave naturally. As we can see, the use of both variants didn't practically differ. It should be noted that the polite language applied more to the oral speech, rather than to the written and to the oral literary salon culture that played a significant role in the formation of the literary languages of Europe. In the 20th century, another term appeared for denoting the exemplary form of the English language. It was called BBC English. The name of the influential British radio company, a leading broadcast in many countries of the world, was in the basis of this concept. The BBC was created for the enhancement of the cultural and educational level of the audience, increasing of language standards, as well as to foster the unity of the nation. Received pronunciation, RP, adopted by the standard pronunciation, was chosen as an exemplary standard. For a long time the speech of announcers of this company was sounded in different parts of the world and has become synonymous of the correct English. However, the term BBC English applies, first of all, to the oral speech, while Standard English is associated with a written discourse. He could replace RP, but at the present time, according to the principle of political correctness among the speakers of the BBC, there are the bearers of local accents. Thus, now the BBC English is just orthoepic standard, oriented on speaking another language audience. 20th century revived the interest directly to the formulation of Standard English, because it talked about the specialists from the field of linguistic studies. It was appointed as a term in the scientific circulation and education that does not solve the question with the definition of its status, whether he is a language or a dialect. In the opinion of P. Treadgill, the standard language cannot be called a language in the fullest sense of the term. It can be the most important among the many dialects of the English language. Usually it is used in writing forms, especially in print, and in the oral speech it is used by educated native speakers. This diversity associated with the system of education in all English-speaking countries. Exactly, Standard English is taught to non-native speakers as a foreign or second native language. It is noteworthy that Standard English isn't associated with standard pronunciation. RP is a standardized accent of the English language, and not the standard of the English language. The informants of Standard English are found in all English-speaking countries, and, of course, they speak with a different accent, and they differ from the standard RP depending on whether they are from Scotland, USA, New Zealand, etc. A number of authors adheres to a common point of view, that Standard English is a dialect of the social upper strata, forcibly imposed by the social elite on the broad masses of people. However, now the point of view of the standard language as a social dialect is not admitted by all linguists, since not all its informants belong to the upper strata. If to speak about the social status of Standard English, many authors have put the emphasis not so much at the prestigious social status of the informants, but on their high intellectual level. At the present time there is no common understanding of the nature of Standard English, therefore the problem of the definition of Standard English essence is very relevant for the English-speaking researchers. And its status and the relationship with other forms of the existence of the English language still are the subject of lively debate.